couple small tweaks there, but I think All Pro default is... Oh my God.
Takes it from 10, and the jumper falls.
And Bonds hits one high. It's a dig! It is out of here! This is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Bryant for the win! Bang! Watch out! He's got getting away from the top speed!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SGN video where it's all sim all the time. And man, I hope you like those clips of Kyrie. I know there's not a ton, but I don't want to make this video any longer than it had to be. I kind of want to just get you guys a glimpse of what we have been able to achieve and unlock with this slider set paired with a few other things which we're going to talk about in this video. Now this video is going to be very informative, y'all, so please don't just try to skip through and get to the sliders because you definitely need this information. I'm going to try to keep this as quickly as I can because I know people just want the information. But there are some things you guys need to know, and I want to make sure you guys have the best experience possible. So we're pairing everything up with the MyNBA scenario video. You see that on the screen here. That video is going to be linked at the end of this, which I just dropped, which includes a full-on MyNBA scenario with all of my trade sliders, my contract sliders, my progression, regression sliders, a full-on custom roster with tendency edits, badge edits, a full 2024 draft class from Jack Smooth that has all the same edits applied to it from my roster, and it's literally ready for you to go. It starts in the second round of the playoffs, so you guys are literally ready to roll with that scenario. Now, I did just drop another video called "This 2K Doesn't Want You to Know This Secret," and I want you guys to know that these sliders that I'm dropping, you need to pair it with the edits I discuss in that video. We're not going to talk about them in this. We're going to keep them separated, but just know you need to do that. If you don't want to use my MyNBA sliders and settings and stuff like that, that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to use these sliders, you need to incorporate it with the edit of this video that you see here on screen, and again will be linked at the end. That's important. You will not have a good experience otherwise. And for those of you wondering, hey, why don't you just put this in the MyNBA scenario and update it? Well, I really want to do that for you guys, but then I realize not everyone is going to want to do the edits I talked about in the secret from 2K video, and if they don't want to spend the 5 minutes doing those edits, then the sliders aren't going to play well for them, and I can't do the edits for people because I have no idea what team people are going to select in the MyNBA, and you don't do the edits to your user team, only to the CPU. So I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I decided ultimately it's better to keep the MyNBA scenario how it is because a lot of people really enjoyed how that played anyway, and those of you who want to upgrade your experience and improve it are going to want to incorporate these sliders with the edits talked about in the secret video discussing the secret feature 2K doesn't want you guys to know. So we just had to get that out of the way. And if you guys are wondering, I show the sliders in the video. The downloads are exclusive to YouTube members. So if you are looking for a simple just search and download, consider becoming an SGN member, man. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Now let's go ahead and talk about a couple things. We're going to dive into the sliders because we got a lot to cover and I'm trying to keep this as quickly as possible. So number one, got to play on broadcast cam, all right? That's super important. If you play on 2K cam, it's way too easy. It is what it is. So no 2K cam, broadcast cam. Number two is no shot timing. You got to play on real player percentage. Let the ratings play out. If you're on shot timing, you guys can learn a player's shot and become way too good with a lower rated player, creating an unrealistic and unsim experience. And we want to keep things as sim as possible. So real player percentage. Trust me, you're actually going to really enjoy it. You're going to hit some crazy contests every now and then. Of course, you're going to miss some wide opens, but it really balances out with the shots that you do hit versus the shots that you don't hit. So just trust me on that. Number three, I personally play on-ball defense. I switch and I play everyone who has the ball for the CPU. There are a lot of folks out there who like to add a different layer into it where they will play defense with the person who last took the shot on their team. So if you're playing with the Mavericks and you dribble down, you shoot the ball with Kyrie, you have to play the next possession on defense as Kyrie and only Kyrie. If you go down and shoot the ball with Luka, then you're then playing with defense with Luka. That full possession you cannot switch. And I totally understand. It's a cool way to play the game, and I can see why you can have fun doing that. Now, one thing I will ask of those of you who like to play that way, please give this new sliders with that edit in the previous video that we've already talked about, a game or two where you play on ball defense. And here's why. The stuff you just saw from Kyrie at the beginning does not really happen when the CPU is guarding the CPU. For whatever reason, the CPU defender is a little bit more sticky, and they understand that, and so they don't attempt those moves. However, when it's against the user, they do a lot more cool stuff like that, and it's also kind of tough to guard anyway. So, and if you do play on ball and you're enjoying what the CPU is doing, but you're still having way too much success, don't worry. We're going to talk about how to adjust that, because the fourth and final thing we're talking about is that there's no one slider set fits all. People have different skill levels, different understanding of how to run an offense, defense, and their talent on their team's roster are all going to be different depending on who you're playing with. So there's no way anybody could make a slider set that's going to fit every single person's 2K skill and talent on their roster and give them a great experience. So we're going to go through and talk about how to make some changes in the game if you are either struggling or being too successful to keep the game playing great for you. So let's go ahead and dive into everything. Now, I do want to emphasize we keep the game speed on 50. Normally I would show it, but 2K blocks out that screen for whatever reason. You can't see my settings, so game speed is at 50 for those curious. So let's go ahead and dive into the sliders, and we're going to talk about it. Normally, like I said, I would just play some music and let you guys watch the sliders, but we got to talk about a few things. Again, that's why important. Please don't skip ahead. You need to know this because you're going to ask these questions later, and it gets frustrating when I answer questions in the video because it just lets me know that people didn't watch. So there is no circumstance where you are going to touch any of these shot success sliders for the user. There is an exception to that. We'll get to that in a second, but these are all in a very, very good spot success wise, and so there's no reason to touch this. The one that we would consider touching is your contact shot success. Now, if you are shooting too well inside and it's not wide opens, because obviously if you're making wide opens, this isn't going to have an effect. We're talking about contact shots that are going in, and we want some, but we don't want it to be an unrealistic amount. So you should be around 70, anywhere between 70 to 80%. You want to be inside when you look at that shot chart after the game. If you're consistently going 80s and above, lower this. This is a very sensitive slider. Do one at a time. All right, this is the one that we'd definitely be looking at. Another one is dunk in traffic frequency. I do keep this lower because there already are too many dunks in the game, and this is just to reduce the amount of dunks so we have a closer to realistic number that represents what we see in real NBA games as far as dunk totals. Moving on to defense, all these, there's never a scenario where we're going to touch any of these and change any of these other than potentially steal success. Now again, I play on ball defense, but I do not really go for steals. I know other people like to go for steals, which is perfectly fine. If you start going for steals and you are very successful and you are getting too many steals, and you'll know if you're starting to get too many steals, right? Just lower your steal success. This is pretty easy. If you're able to do something at abusive rate to the CPU, just lower steal success. Now, NBA averages around 6 to 7 a game, so that's perfectly fine. But if you're sitting here getting 10 to 12, 13 every single game, I mean, come on. Don't come and say, hey, man, the slider's too easy. No, you found a way to abuse the game based on your skill, and you're just not adjusting for it. So lower steal success if that is you. Otherwise, the attributes, we're not going to touch anything on the attributes except for there's two potential sliders that we will talk about here for the user. One is the defensive awareness. Now, If you are struggling stopping the CPU offense, you can raise the defensive awareness. If you are stopping them too good or too easily, lower the defensive awareness. Excuse my horrible English there. This is very simple. We're not touching offensive awareness. No need to touch it. Defensive awareness, make it harder on the CPU, raise it. Easier for the CPU, lower it. Very, very simple. On-ball defense. Now, the typically defensive awareness will help your pick and roll defense, is what I have noticed. And on-ball is your actual ability to guard somebody and stay in front of them when they're dribble driving and attacking on you. If you are doing great in pick and roll defense, but when the CPU just drives against you and dribbles, does moves and breaks you down, you can't stay in front of them as much as you try, you could definitely look at increasing on-ball defense. You could also look at, in the controller settings, your defensive assist strength slider. It's actually funny. Lowering it makes it a little bit easier for you. It doesn't override your input so much. So consider doing those things. Otherwise, we're not touching anything else in that section. Tendencies for the user. Again, we're not going to touch anything other than I do have attempt dunks lower. I already explained why. If you want more dunks, you can raise these. But again, we're trying to be realistic here. So just keep that in mind. And then the other ones we'd potentially look at are the play passing lanes and go for on-ball steals. So if you do lower steal success, but your CPU teammates are still being successful because they're getting steals in the passing lane, or they're going for would technically be off-ball steals, right? They go for a steal. It counts anyway if they're help defending and they go for a steal and they're so successful. Just lower these. Do these 5 at a time. Very easy to do. And you just do it till you get some more balance. Otherwise, that's it. Fouls, we're not going to touch fouls other than shooting foul. Now, if you feel like you're not getting enough free throws, raise it. If you feel like you're consistently shooting too many free throws, lower it. Now, NBA averages 23 per game. I have put this to where I feel like it's extremely balanced for the user and the CPU, but again, everybody has their own perspective on that. Some people are much better at drawing fouls, utilizing pump fakes and euros and things like that, which are more likely to get a foul called, so just keep that in mind. But again, this one's very easy to just adjust based on your experience. The movement sliders have been the same for a while now, 70-20. We're not touching that no matter what. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the CPU. And just like with the user, we're not touching any of these successes for the CPU other than, again, if you want the CPU to have some more dunks, you could raise their dunk and traffic frequency. Although I feel like it's in a pretty good spot down here. Otherwise, we're not really doing much other than looking at contact shot success. If you feel like the CPU should be making more shots at the rim, raise it. It's very sensitive, so do it 1 at a time. If they are making too many contested, tough shots at the rim, lower this, again, just by 1. It's that simple. If you're also getting too many steals against the CPU, you can, a combination of lowering your steal success and raising their ball security is the rate you want to go. And I would do increments of 5 on these. And 1, lower steal success by 5, then raise ball security by 5, and then vice versa. And then if it becomes an issue of it's not you, it's your CPU teammates, that's when you adjust the play passing lanes and go for on-ball steals. Nothing else here is going to be touched for the CPU. And going to the defense, it's the exact same here with the CPU as it is for the user. We're not touching anything other than steal success. If you feel like the CPU is not successful enough in getting steals on you, raise their steal success. Attributes. Again, we're not touching anything, and other than the same for the user. On-ball defense, if you are able to cook the CPU way too frequently or successfully with players you probably shouldn't be able to cook. Now, obviously, if you're out here with Kyrie or an elite player and you get matched up against a lower average player and you're able to cook them consistently, like, okay, you just have to understand when you're doing something too successful way too frequently. If you're able to consistently beat the CPU off on dribble moves to an extent is too often, raise their on-ball defense. Very sensitive, do it 1 at a time. if you are way too successful in pick and roll, and you can run down the court and you can call a pick and roll and you can score off it almost every single time, not from shooting mid-range or three, because that won't happen every single time just due to the real play percentage, but you can score, get into the hoop every single time, raise their defensive awareness to 5 at a time. It's that simple, guys. Of course, if you're struggling with the pick and roll, lower it. If you're never able to beat the CPU when you dribble a drive attack, lower this. It's very easy, guys. You just gotta play around, and I recommend 2 or 3 games before you make that decision, before you know whether or not something needs to be adjusted. You gotta play a couple of games because every team's gonna be different. Every game's gonna be different. You can load up. Again, you play a playoff series. Every single game in that playoff series will play and feel different. So that's why I say you need to play several games to get a true understanding if something needs to be tweaked or adjusted. Everything else there is going to be staying the same. Tendencies. This is why I stated you must use this with the edit that I talk about in this is the secret 2K doesn't want you to know about video, because we have 3-point shots extremely low due to this new change to get realistic 3-point numbers. If you do not do this edit and you use these sliders, do not complain to me that the CPU is not taking any threes. There's a reason for it. If you want to use these sliders and you don't want to use those edits, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lower inside shot to 80 and give it all to 3-point shot here. That's simple. Everything else here, there's nothing else we're going to touch other than if you want the CPU to have a couple more dunks, you can raise that up. If they're getting too many steals on you, again, you can lower their play passing lanes and on-ball steals, but I think they're in a good spot, and I think a lot of times it's just making bad passes, bad reads, and just stick through it so you can get better. And we also need to understand that, having turnovers is not a bad thing. It's normal in the game, and we want to have as much things replicate NBA as possible. Those are everything that we'd potentially be changing other than the shooting foul, which we already discussed. If you need more shooting fouls, raise it. If you need less, lower it. I do feel like they're in a pretty good spot, just me personally. But again, everyone is free will. Do what you want. Make sure you have a good experience. These are designed to be tweaked for your own personal experience. Okay? Don't feel like you have to play with this as is if you're not having a good time. If you're just struggling, you can't win a game, you're not going to want to play because you're not having fun. Make the changes I talked about. If you are dominating the CPU with the Detroit Pistons and you're just winning every game by 15, 20, you're not going to want to keep playing because, again, you're not having a very good time. Make the changes we talked about above. It's really simple, guys. But anyway, that is the slider set, man. Make sure you pair this up with the video talking about 2K doesn't want you to know this secret, and the MyNBA Reborn is a great place to go ahead and implement everything, get you a great start to today's scenario. I've linked a couple of these videos for you guys. They're on the screen here. Click one of them, click all of them. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really hope you guys enjoy and appreciate this. This was a lot of hard work, man. Otherwise, stay tuned to the next one. Peace.